This episode is brought to you by SpruceOnTap.com. SpruceOnTap.com carries a variety of spruce tips, fir tips, juniper berries, and so much more for your brewing or culinary needs. SpruceOnTap.com provides the freshest products by harvesting them and immediately vacuum packaging and freezing them. Their products are never dried or dehydrated, ensuring that your order arrives tasting and smelling as fresh as the day they were harvested. SpruceOnTap.com ships out American-sourced, wild-harvested ingredients for people who celebrate craft beverages and the culinary arts. Listeners of our podcast can get 15% off your order of $25 or more when you use the promo code HHH at SpruceOnTap.com. Again, that's SpruceOnTap.com. Use promo code HHH and get 15% off any purchase of $25 or more. Thank you, SpruceOnTap.com, for supporting our podcast and better brewing. This episode is brought to you by Muntons Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntons has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntons offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntons malt. You know, we've known the Muntons crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntons malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntons, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Homebrewer Showcase, an interview with Trent Musho. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 354. Honestly, I hate technology sometimes. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, call it in, leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107 and get yourself a $25 gift card to ketconnection.com, courtesy of the absent Todd Burns. Why is he absent? Because today is a fantastically fun special episode that we do every once in a while. Sometimes we do a bunch in a row, and sometimes I wait like a year and a half before doing them. This is a homebrewer showcase where we feature people in the community, home brewers, just like you and me. We're just real people. And actually today is one where I'm featuring, he's probably the man behind my favorite homebrewing channel on YouTube. Don't look flattered. It's Trent Musho. I didn't even ask you for how I should properly introduce you. I put down like Trent Musho is a cinematographer and editor out of California, and he's the guy running what is again my favorite homebrewing channel on YouTube, The Brew Show. Trent, welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you for joining me. Dude, and I'm serious. I think I told you it. So we met in person at HomebrewCon. We've talked on Instagram or whatever, but I feel like I've talked to a gazillion people. Instagram's not real life. Yeah, I don't take the internet serious. That could be a problem because I barely take the podcast serious. But we met in person there at HomebrewCon San Diego and had a blast. And you didn't run away, so I was like, oh, hey, he's friendly. Okay.
Well, I was mainly surprised you weren't like an AI created person. Really.
We're getting there. We're getting there. I can't wait. I got relatives thinking I'm more fluent in Spanish than I really am right now. It's great. I think when someone watched the video of James doing Spanish, they're like, oh, okay. Hola, amigos. This tap right regulator.
It's a very monotone voice, but it's fascinating to see it for sure.
Isn't it wild? Well, the one that I did where so backstory for people who don't know, if you went on our Instagram on our shorts on youtube.com/homebrew happy hour or on our reels on instagram.com/homebrew happy hour, you can see I did a quick short video announcing, if you don't speak Spanish, I was basically saying, hey, thanks to the powers of artificial technology or artificial intelligence, we are able to put some of our popular content into Spanish now and create new content in Spanish. Because Todd, of the three of us, this is like Inglourious Bastards. Todd speaks the best Italian, and then I speak the second best, and James speaks the third best. And when James says I don't speak any Spanish, yeah, that's why you speak the third best. But but so Todd could do a video, but our problem is we're lazy with conjugation. Like I don't know if you speak another language.
No.
Yeah, I barely speak English, but but we're not confident in our abilities. And actually, I had one person when I published it wrote me, and they're like, I think that's stepping on the toes of content creators who natively speak Spanish. And at first, I was like, well, then we have to have a lucha match with these people to determine who has the right to publish content in Spanish. I was like, no, we're not. I'm not trying to step on toes. I think it's a beautiful thing if you can reach more people with content, and the only barrier was language. I mean, we should utilize this stuff for good. It's not like I'm monetizing this stuff and making a living off it. Like,
I mean, to that person's point, they could just do it to English, right?
They really should. Yeah. I encourage it. Look, you're a YouTuber, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but you can probably acknowledge like there could be way more people on YouTube talking about homebrewing, and there's still enough space for everybody. Like this. Like it's not. Sure. It's not like the homebrewing scene on YouTube is a lot like the retailers scene for homebrewing, where 99.9% of the people are so cool and very supportive, and it's a community. And that 0.1% is Todd Burns, but the rest of us are great. We are nice to each other. No, you know what I mean. Especially that was your first HomebrewCon that you've ever been to in person, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And wasn't it incredible?
It was amazing. I had such a good time, and I was even more nervous to meet Todd. I thought he would just tear me to shreds. But no, he was super nice.
Yeah, like literally because he's hungry. You thought he was going to tear you. Okay, that's a fat joke, Todd.
No, I had an amazing time. It was so much fun because like everyone's there for the same reason. It's just because we love brewing. We love creating this thing that we drink, and we get a little tipsy while we drink it and get to hang out. It's fun. It
was so much fun. And well, I guess we'll start at the top here since we're talking about HomebrewCon. Next year, their decision to go and combine with Great American Beer Festival. Have you been to a Great American Beer Festival before?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Are you planning on going next year for the combination?
I think so, yeah.
We are too, and I think so. You know, did you go to our talk? I don't want to be presumptuous and assume we did.
Yeah,
I
was like second row. I was making eyes with you.
Okay, we're okay. I don't know if you could tell. I was twitching the whole time, trying not to make eye contact. People asked me if I was on drugs. I was like, trick question. Yeah, I'm on blood pressure drugs. So yes, I'm on drugs. But after our talk, we didn't get hardly any feedback from the people running the show. I was like, they're never having us back. They're never going to have us back. But then Todd was like, we could get a media pass as Homebrew Happy Hour. I was like, oh yeah, we could probably try to do that. Because is that how you attended, or did you?
That's how I did it. Yeah, yeah. I just reached out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a video about it, kind of covered it. It's on my YouTube channel. My first homebrew con experience, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I watched the video and all that. I'll put a link to your channel in the description, obviously, because again, we'll get to it. Your channel and all that. There's more interesting things about you, Trent, than your channel.
I'm more than just a YouTuber.
You're more than just a YouTuber, man. Because I do want to get behind what's the deal with YouTuber face, on all the thumbnails and stuff.
Right.
We'll get to that. But let's start off like I do with every homebrewer showcase. What is your background as a brewer? Like, what got you into homebrewing and the whole craft beer scene? Because you're a young dude. Are you even 30?
I'm 33.
You're 30. Oh, you old piece of garbage. I thought you were young. So 33 though, that's young. So like that's the demographic a lot of beverage companies are going for in regards to that 28 to 36-year-old, probably have a real job by now, have some disposable income, all that. But yeah, so how did you get into craft beer, homebrewing, that whole scene? What was the origin of Trent Musho and homebrewing?
Yeah. It was actually a Christmas gift one year. I got a winemaking kit. So for my first few years of home brewing were wine and cider, really. But the kit that I got was very much just like, they give you like the juice extract, you just add water and you mix it all. It has all the steps and stuff. And it came out really good. The first batch of wine, it makes like 30 bottles of wine. So I was set for like a long while. And, I loved it. I kept going, kept doing those kits, and eventually got into like cider making, making it from like store-bought juice. But it wasn't until like maybe 3 years later, for another Christmas, I got Mr. Beer kit. And it was, I had all this confidence coming from the winemaking and, following the instructions. And then I do the Mr. Beer kit and it was just garbage. Just horrible beer. And this, the second and third batches were just as bad. I had no idea about anything like oxidation or yeast health, things like that. And the Mr. Beer kit, I think they're great at getting people into it, but they aren't very filled with the crucial information that makes beer good.
Yeah.
But it got me kind of hooked and interested. But it was kind of like, having those first three batches not being good, it was kind of like, it unmotivated me in many ways, but I'm kind of person that loves to research things. I love to like dive deep into things. So I started getting books. I got John Palmer's book. Started reading up on like Brewlosophy had their blog at around that time. So starting to learn that you don't need to. There's certain things you do need to do. There's certain things you don't need to worry about. If you focus on the important things, you can still make good beer at home. And then eventually I got into brewing a bag, and that's really where things like took off for me.
What year was this? Like, when was the Mr. Beer?
Mr. Beer, that had to have been like 2013, 2014.
Oh, hell,
maybe.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, right on.
And I kind of took a break after a while and then got back to it a couple years later.
Mr. Beer, like you said, you nailed it. They're great at getting people into the beginning process of making beer. What they're terrible at, like you say, is conveying information, but also the store, I feel like, so I don't even know if Spencer's Gifts is still a thing. Do they have those stores at your malls? I don't know if you ever...
I haven't been to a mall in 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see? Right, yeah. I'm ancient. But Spencer's Gifts used to always, like, because I got my dad a Mr. Beer in like 2002, right? Or like, and I want to say it was already 2 years out of date. I don't think retailers think about that. They just have those things on collecting dust forever till some schmuck comes and buys one for their dad.
For sure. I think the first Mr. Beer kit I got, my mother-in-law got it for me from like Marshall's. So that shit was like in a different store.
Exactly. Yeah, the Marshalls, absolutely. It went rotating through retailers, got to the Marshalls thing. She got you a nice little button-up shirt on on sale and a Mr. Beer kit. That was the perfect Christmas present. Do you remember the style? Because I remember Mr. Beer, my dad's, I think the first one we ever got him, and he might actually still have the Mr. Beer, the fermenting barrel.
Yeah, the barrel.
Yeah. I think it was an amber ale was what we had got him. But I don't remember there being a lot of options. Do you remember your first one?
Yeah. I had light lager, which is like a horrible first beer for anyone to do.
Did it have any instructions on lagering?
No, like it took, it gives you like a range, like, ferment at room temp, but it's like, I don't know how is anyone expected to make a good light lager on their first beer? I'm not sure, but I actually like, what's funny is like, if you're familiar with CH from Homebrew for Life, we teamed up for a video not too long ago, and we bought new Mr. Beer kits and we're like, if we got this, what would we do now to make it actually good? Like, what are the things that you would change to make it good? And so like for mine, I switched out the yeast to like Kvike, because you can ferment that at any temperature essentially, and it'll come out good. And then I added some dry hops, you know. Yeah. So it was fun to like look back at where I started to the knowledge that I have now.
That's funny that you said Kvike. I remember, was Omega Hothead, was that a Kvike strain? I'm assuming it was, because when they came out, before the whole craze of Kvike, I remember Omega having what they call, I think it was called Hothead. And I remember thinking back then, this is like what you should be giving out on beginner kits if you're not going to have some detailed, because the thing is, like when we were in the ingredient side of things, and we would do like extract kits that came with equipment packages and all that, we started making videos almost in lieu of having to write out novels of information, because because there's some question someone will have or something we just forget, and you can't cover it all. But Mr. Beer doesn't even try to cover any of it, right? Right. It was just like, yeah, put it in this thing here, like you said, very vague, room temp. And so like you're Googling like room temp. Well, and Ted says room temp is 78, and you're in San Diego. What's room temp in San Diego? Perfect. But either way, the Kvike would be a great substitute, because like you said, that someone, if they are doing it at 78, or my wife keeps our house, like 78 in the summer. I know. But that would do way better than, especially can you imagine a light lager at room temp first off? No wonder it was garbage.
I can. I tasted it.
Oh yeah. You don't have to imagine. You did it. I'm impressed that you stuck with. So like you said, you took a break. What was it during that break that made you go, like, I want to get more into it, and I'm going to do Brewing a Bad? Because that, you not only jumped from a Mr. Beer to all grain, you skipped out on even like the whole extract process of stovetop and all that beyond Mr. Beer, and just went straight to Brewing a Bag. Yeah,
it was just a reading, just doing a lot of research and saying like whatever these, because it came from Australia, right? Like whatever these Aussies are doing there, like, a lot of them are doing it in apartments and things like that. And I've only ever lived in apartments. I don't have a house. So how do I do this on a small scale that still makes good beer? And it was just about taking that first step. I think I did like a small, like a half batch, maybe a 2.5 gallon batch. And I was like, oh, this actually turns out pretty good. And, learned about fermentation control and things like that. And I was off.
So it was stovetop Brewing a Bag.
It was in
a little kettle.
And just in my apartment, a little half batch of Brewing a Bag.
There's a lot of controversial things in this world going on now. I told you I didn't want to bring it up. I don't care about your opinions on Israel and Palestine. I don't want to know about your stance on abortion. Trent, I want to know, are you a bad squeezer or are you a dripper?
Absolutely. I squeeze it, man.
We're going to have to edit this show. No, everyone squeezes. When did the thought it's been taboo in my mind, which again, guys, I'm stupid. So my mind is not the standard of which we judge things. But for some reason, for many years, it was ingrained in me, you don't squeeze the bag, Josh. And I've never brewed in a bag. I just associated, you don't squeeze the bag. But everyone I talk to, literally 12 for 12 now, basically, squeeze the bag. Of course I squeeze the bag. Why wouldn't you squeeze the bag? Why wouldn't you squeeze the bag, Trent?
I think the whole concern was like tannin extraction, right? Like if you squeeze it so hard, you're extracting tannins or something like that. But I've never made a beer with too much tannins. I don't know if that's maybe like with fly sparging or something, if you're over sparging, but I've never experienced over tannin beer.
And specifically not from squeezing.
Yeah. Squeeze away.
Squeeze away. That's going to be the clip I use of this episode. Trent says squeeze away.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna forward the hate mail to you, because I got all these dudes in my DMs telling me I'm an idiot.
I get that too in the comments. So
preaching to the choir. I gotta tell you though, man, I love my wife. I mean, we have a great relationship. She knows the password on my phone. I don't even care, because when she opens up my phone to like use it for Google, who are all these DMs? It's middle-aged white dudes in cargo shorts asking me my opinion on beer. Like, I would kill for a woman to be in my DMs just to piss my wife off, and they don't. They don't come in there. It's a bunch of dudes who are bald as me and old as me. And they're like, hey, man, did you see that release on whatever? I'm like, yeah, bro, that was awesome. I was like, who are you texting tonight? Oh, it's Brew Dude 420 or whatever. I don't know who it is, honey.
Yeah. Just responding to comments.
So when you get to brewing a bag, and like you said, you're brewing in smaller space. And so it's not like I know, spoiler, you're not using like a 3-vessel Herms. I don't see a Brautag behind you, but what are you like? Has your equipment today? What year was this that you went to brew in a bag now and started taking brewing like more serious?
That was probably like 2016, I would say.
Okay. Has anything, so you get the stovetop kettle and you're brewing a bag. What's changed from I'm doing it more serious and trying to craft better drinks now, and then today, doing YouTube channel and content specifically about home brewing? Are you still the core using stovetop brewing a bag, or what? How's your gear changed?
Yeah. So when I was brewing that small batch on my stove, it was in Chicago. So I was in like a 1-bedroom apartment doing it. And then I moved out to LA, and I had all of a sudden had a ton more space and had like a backyard where I could actually brew. So then I bumped it up to a full 5-gallon batch. And I feel like just a matter of just like getting excited about it and like brewing a bunch more. That's where like I could really hone my process and stuff like that. And then a little thing called like COVID came around, and that's when I really had more time in my hands, started brewing a lot more than I was before. And my background's always been in filmmaking, doing video production, documentary stuff. So I'd always wanted to kind of combine these two worlds. And once I had more time, that's where I kind of thought about doing the YouTube thing. So when I started the YouTube channel, I was doing brew in a bag, just in my backyard, essentially, just 5-gallon batches, very, analog, but I was making great beer. So.
And that's all that matters at the end of the day, right? Is making so because like when I watch your videos, and again, I say you're my favorite. I mean, I don't know you as a person. You're okay, I guess. But your production quality, I knew you had to have some. I at first thought like, oh my God, does he have like a team of people? But then, watching a bunch of your videos, like, no, it's him. And he's just a professional. Some people know what to do with equipment. I just spend Todd's money on equipment. I don't know what to do with it. But like you said, COVID, I guess, made you buckle down in regards to, I say buckle down. COVID almost allowed you the creativity to do the YouTube because you're at home anyway. I mean, and you're in LA, right? Like of all the places in the country, I think y'all big coastal cities were the ones really affected most in regards to y'all are gazillion people in a little area. Of course, you're going to be like, I really don't want to go out in public right now if you're even allowed to. But so you were working from home. You had the time.
Yeah, I mean, for a while it was truly locked down. Like I wasn't even working. I was just sitting at home, like with nothing to do. But I could still get like brew supplies delivered, and still make beer. And
bro, that sounds like what I get paid to do by Todd. I just sit around. No, I'm kidding. No, Todd, I'm kidding. Kidding, boss. I worked hard today while you're gone. But that's, we talked about it, or I kind of briefly said it before we started recording. And by the way, thank you for sitting through the 44 minutes of ads. I'm sorry to do that to you. I commend you for not refusing to edit after how many years of doing that. See, people think it's a shtick. Every week I record it like it's live because I want that one file. It streamlines it that much in my life. But I refuse, Trent. I refuse.
Whatever works.
And that's what I'm saying. I forgot where I was even going with any of this. That you're on the show. Thank you for sitting through the ads. Where was I going with it? What was I saying before I got?
We were talking just about like the channel and stuff like that. And
yeah, man, I totally just brain farted on myself. And I'm not going to edit this out because that would be stupid. No, you having the creativity. Or the ability to expound on the creativity. All the gear you already had, right, for your video,
right,
and all that. Did this, like, I get sometimes imposter syndrome, and then I just embraced it. And people ask me a question on a topic I really don't know that great. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I don't really know it. But like starting on it, did you think I'm gonna make videos what people will watch, or I'm just making videos as a creative outlet? Like, what was the original goal with the Brew Show channel? Because you weren't a YouTuber before. You have experience in the film side of it and the editing side, but correct me if I'm wrong, right? You didn't have a channel before.
No, yeah.
And so what was your initial approach?
That's a great question. So I was definitely inspired by like the channels that came before me. So channels like Brewing TV and like Barbecue Larry. Like I loved what all those guys were. Yeah, I loved like what those guys were doing. I just felt like there was something that was missing from the like beer YouTube space, and something I could add was just like my production skills. Bringing in the whole idea that I had was like a more show. So I called it the Brew Show because I wanted it to feel like, you know, a TV show with higher production and kind of like, you know, show people that brewing isn't that complicated. You know, my motto is like homebrewing simplified. So anyone can make beer, anyone can make these fermented drinks. So I just wanted to use the skills that I had as far as like cinematography and editing and bring this hobby that I love to more people.
And truly you have. I won't say it was a meteoric rise, but you just hit over 50,000 not too long ago subscribers, which people don't realize. So home brewing is a niche already. I'd argue it's a super niche. Not a ton of us in the country. I know. I think the subreddit says they have 1 million people, right? I don't think that's real. I come on, those are bots. But either way, what I'm getting at is like, the people who brew are already a part of a super niche, and then people who brew and consume media is like a super duper duper niche. Like 50,000 people focused on content of homebrewing is super impressive, man. And to do it in 3 years and a couple months, basically, because you started in August of 2020, right?
Right.
I think I saw your Instagram like in mid 2021 is when I finally found you. I'm late to the party on a lot of stuff, Trent. But by that point, you'd already had like 10,000 subscribers, I believe, within your first year. I might be making numbers up, but like, what do you think you noticed in the beginning that led to like the attention? Because people make content a lot that just falls flat on its face, but you were making content that obviously resonated with people or they saw value in. What do you think was kind of the secret behind that?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have the like true answer to it, but
be narcissistic. Be like, because I'm awesome.
No, I think what I bring is like I also touch on other fermentations that are beyond beer. So I'll do like ciders, wines. I've done, tepache, which is fermented pineapple, sake, kombucha. So I try and like spread it out. I'm truly like a fan or lover of all things fermented, especially fermented drinks. So I think that brings in people that may be intimidated by beer. They want to just make something with stuff they have in their kitchen. And I try to like make that and show how easy it can be. And then maybe I can pull them into the hobby of brewing beer and see how awesome it can be.
Of all the beverages, is beer still number one in your heart?
It is. Yeah. It is. And I feel like I lean into it pretty hard on the channel, and not everybody, I get a lot of subscribers from like my tepache video, which is basically fermented pineapple juice essentially. And I think, a lot of people might not be turned on by that, but there is a lot of similarity, like if you really look at it, you just got to give it a chance to make beer.
You know what we got to do? Have you ever met Lorena Evans from Brewer's Friend? We've had her on the show a few times.
I've watched her kombucha. You interviewed her about kombucha.
Yeah. So we've got to get you to, because you might be in the top 3 people I know of lovers of all things fermentation. Like I'm a hobbyist amateur. I like beer, absolutely. Kombucha, I do it because it helps my gut. Cider's usually too sweet for me. No offense, Corey. I loved your cider, but all the other ciders.
Have you made cider yet?
No, I haven't. Todd made one time and it was not good, and so I just said like, I'm okay. But
it's so easy.
But it's Corey Purser, Miss Cider on Instagram has sent me cider, but even better than her cider, actually, mead. The mead she sent was phenomenal, and then Todd made a mead that was phenomenal. I was like, okay, I'm on the mead bandwagon. I like that. What was the kefir? Kefir. Kefir. That I saw when you had published that video. That got a gazillion views. Like you said, it is funny how these alternative fermentation beverages. I say alternative. They're not as mainstream, get so much attention? Do you think it's just people are bored, or do you think people are already in the know of this and there's just not really a ton of content on that kind of stuff?
I think there isn't a lot of content. I think that's part of it. Like there are occasionally you'll see like, if you ever watched Bon Appetit, Brad Leone, he used to do a bunch of like and that was a big inspiration for me. I loved like all the stuff that he would do over there. So I think it just isn't covered as much. And, a lot of these other countries, I get a lot of messages from people from like Eastern European countries that are like, I get kefir in my, grocery store, my local like shop. He's like, I can have it every day, but I've never thought about making it, or, I think it hits on more than just the US. It hits like an international thing, these other ferments that are easier to access.
That's awesome. I get messages weekly from a Nigerian prince who needs some money to let go of some funds that he can send me. I wish I had real engagement, Trent. No, let's actually talk. Like I'll get to more relevant stuff. People are going to realize real quick. I just had you on here because I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel and I want your brain. No, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah,
I'm kidding. Yeah. How do I get to 200 followers? Tell us. No. How do you find HomebrewCon? First off, we go for the experience and all that. We love it. And this year was the most amount of people who recognized us and wanted to hang out and talk. And Todd afterwards was like, that's wild that people recognize you. First, at HomebrewCon or wherever, I know, again, we're a super niche. Are you getting recognized for your content with all that? And then how does that feel being, because you're a normal dude, but you also have this online present community of thousands of people. Like, do you notice anything? Like, do you get noticed? And then, like, how has that affected you? Because this isn't your full time, right? Of YouTube.
No, yeah, it's not my full time, but no, I don't get recognized.
That's nice.
The only time I've gotten recognized was at HomebrewCon.
Same here. No, same here. Yeah. Same here. Well, I mean, I get recognized by the local police sometimes, but as far as Homebrew Happy Hour, right. I don't get recognized.
The FBI knows who you are.
The FBI, I am on list, my friend. I am on some list.
No, it was fun because I kind of hung out with Steve, Apartment Brewer. He's another YouTuber.
I got to get on here too. He was so fun.
Yeah, he's a great guy. You absolutely should. But it was really funny. Like he was much more recognized. I think because I am more of like the fermentation guy, not necessarily the beer guy, and he's the beer guy.
Oh yeah.
There, people would go up to him and be like, "Hey, can I get a photo?" And then they'd like pass the phone to me, and I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a photo of you guys."
I got trolled so many times by people doing that with Todd. They'd be like, "Oh my God, Todd Burns! Hey, sir, can you take a picture of us?" I'd be like, "You know what? Screw you. Take a selfie. I mean, take your phone." No, yeah, he's awesome. The Apartment Brewer is also a fantastic YouTube channel. People should be watching. And I'll say that most people. So our podcast is 99% consumed audio only. And as much as I beg and plead week to week, go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, smash that like button, hit subscribe. I beg people. And we don't, our podcast, I get it. People are consuming it. It's like an hour-long show for the most part. They don't want to sit in front of their computer or device. I get that, guys. I get it. But kidding aside, I feel like people who consume your content might already be aware of these other, like Homebrew Challenge and Apartment Brewer, Portly Gentleman. I feel like you'll have a lot of crossover audience because, look, hey, there goes the camera.
I'm still here.
You're good. Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good. Again, not editing this.
I know.
But do you find that to be true where, like, if people know you, they probably know these other channels because y'all are in that same blogosphere or video sphere or YouTube sphere of content?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like we're like very much a community. The YouTubers, we're like, constantly talking to each other. I'm always reaching out to people to like collaborate with. That was one thing that I was kind of like shocked by when I first started YouTubing. I was like, I'm intimidated by like, Short Circuit Brewer and Barbecue Larry. Like, are these guys going to accept me when I come in? And like Short Circuit Brian reached out to me like super early on, and CH from Homebrew for Life was like, I love what you're doing. Like,
that's
you want to come down and like collaborate? I was like, this is amazing. Like,
yeah. That is cool.
Welcome.
Brian has not reached out to me still.
He hasn't posted in a while. No, so he's laying low.
That is true. Yeah. That's why he hasn't reached out to me. No, I walked into the scene with fingers ablaze and giving. That's the funny thing too. Like friends of the show and community would agree with this statement that we post a pod. Like, we're not Homebrew Happy Hour is not YouTubers in the same sense, and not to draw a distinction as much as I feel like the content we make, the short form stuff, we just don't do enough, right? Because I don't have the time to commit, which is segueing into you're a working man, you're a married man. Do you find the work-life balance like this? Because this is not your job per se. It's not your mainstay. Do you find it difficult as a creator to pump out the kind of content for your community to keep everyone happy, but also you have a full-time gig and your husband and all that stuff? Like, is the balance of a brew tuber synchronous, or can it be troubling at times?
So luckily I have a very supportive wife. My wife, Rachel, is like, I would consider like a producer of the show. She helps me. She reviews the scripts with me. She'll review edits with me. So gives me notes, which is very nice. And she is very much supportive of the channel. And the first 2 years especially, I was very much like, I got to post every week, the same time, keep on the schedule, because that's what they say to do on YouTube. But this year I've kind of taken a step back, posting more when I feel like I have a finished video that I feel proud with, or I have content that I feel happy with. So I've definitely taken a step back this year, but that doesn't mean that like I'm not like suffering because of the YouTube channel or anything like that. But
that's what I was going for, like tears and
it's a side project. It's almost like a hobby in itself to make YouTube, like I'm doing it for the love. I'm not doing it for the paycheck. I'm doing it because I want to make content that other people will enjoy and hopefully get people to brew and make fermented stuff.
I was going to say the last thing you said is my favorite thing to remind people. Like there is not real money in YouTube for 95% of content creators. I mean, as far as a living goes, like you find even the biggest of channels are funneling people into things that actually make the money. Like, join the Patreon or subscribe to our monthly bots or whatever. And we're trying that, but I don't know how to make money. The recipes I found out are expensive, but anyway, oops. But
like you said, it's a super niche, like
so niche. And
you look at like the ceiling of the biggest brewing channels. They're not, millions of followers. They're hundreds of thousands of followers. So
which again, to me in this realm is like, oh my God, that's so many people, because it is. But you're right. In the bigger family, who knows that I do podcasts as part of the weekly thing for Homebrew Happy Hour. They're like, "Oh, is your show doing good?" I was like, "No." And the bigger picture podcast is terrible. Like 12,000 downloads a week or whatever for audio version. Like where Rogan's doing 12 gazillion. Like in the bigger picture, but in the context of super niche and all that, we have a very great. The thing I love about this space is the community, because I mean we have our Facebook group that I say it's private, but I've never rejected someone if they're not in the Patreon Trub Club. So we have a bunch of people in there, and every day almost people asking questions and people happily, you know what I mean? Like I've not very rarely online, even on Reddit, but to be fair, I'm not hardly on Reddit because they don't seem to like me. But I find that 99% of the time, everyone's so supportive of just like, I want you to make good beer as well, or I want you to have your best foot forward. And so that with that in mind, it's probably easier for you to make content because you're like, I'm making it for people who appreciate it. It's not like our industry is not big enough to where we have like the drama channels, which I would go that route. It's not beneath me.
You should start one.
I should start a homebrew drama channel. Today on Drama Brew. Ooh, that would be good. Anything to try. I want someone. Yeah, I'm all over the place, Trent. I apologize, but someone.
No. I just want to say I completely agree with you. Like the community is like what kept me in it. Like once you start seeing like the same group of guys or girls like coming to the comments, or I even started like a Discord, and like there's a group of people in there that they're just curious about the hobby, and I think that it makes, even though the overall numbers aren't as big, it makes the tighter group community makes it worth it.
When I think too, having interacted with you, and that's so what I like, your videos take an informational approach as opposed to an authoritative approach, if that makes sense, which I think is what we try to do as well. One, because again, sometimes I have imposter syndrome, but two, mostly because it's always so many variables for any given person's. Like if I tell you to brew a Kolsch, and I tell 10,000 other people to brew a Kolsch, there's not a way to brew a Kolsch, right? I mean, obviously the best way is my way, but there's not a way to brew it. And that's what I like your channel. You'll take, like your kombucha one, which I think that's your most recent one of alternative type of fermentation. Or, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that you did the kombucha one, not terribly long. But what I like about it, it's just straight up information. Here's how I did it, and blah, 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 blah. It's not like, sometimes people have had bad experiences with crotchety, this is how it's going to be type of brewers, or like homebrew shops of the old days.
Oh, yes.
James had a terrible story where one of his first homebrew shops he went to were just kind of like laughing at him for like trying, right? He went in like, well, I like Shiner Bock, and they're basically like, oh, I bet you do, and it's like,
right.
How is that helping, first off, your business, but how is that helping you this passion of ours? Because I don't know anyone who brews that isn't passionate about it. None of us are starving. We're not doing this for sustenance or necessity, right? But
it should be about like including people and getting them excited about it. There's, in my opinion, there's not enough people brewing and fermenting. There can always be more. And anybody that like starts a YouTube channel, I always try and like search out like these small channels that have like 100 followers, and I'm like, keep going.
That's awesome.
Like, they're even small. That number of people that want to brew and film themselves, the more the merrier. I
go on there and just thumbs them down, and I mean, not the actual video, the emoji comment of just thumbs down.
Oh, got it.
Quit. No, I can't take stuff serious. I'll segue that to when you're making content, and because this is a passion project, are you brewing still the things you want to brew, or are you experimenting more for the sake of that would actually be an interesting video? I don't know if that question makes sense, but like I don't really focus on like one-off contents as much as this. Like when we do how-tos and stuff, it's almost always Todd. James has some every now and then, but it's almost always Todd, because Todd doesn't digress. He gets right to the point, and it's like, this is a quick carbonating lid, and he does it in under a minute. We're new to the short stain. We just published one. When I say today, I mean last Monday of when this publishes. But we just got into the shorts because I told Todd, hey, you want to get more views on our channel? I think this would be a way to do it, and blah, blah, blah. But he was like, well, what would we talk about? And I was like, whatever product you think, or whatever topic you think. Or do you still have that mentality? Or as a growing channel, do you have to go, well, what though would also get people more interested in driving to the content?
I try to do like a combination. So I tend to do like one for myself, and then I'll do like one for somebody who's never brewed before, and then I'll do one for like my core audience, try and like break it up. Because I do like have that urge to keep trying something different. I tend to brew like seasonally. So like, right now in fall, like I'm thinking, fall flavors, what's something I haven't done before that I can try out and show to people. But then I'll post something, like my last video was like, brewing your first extract beer, what are the tips that I wish that I knew brewing my first extract beer. So, and then it's also like, then I'm in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, what is the one that would really, get a lot of clicks, or be super like something that totally reaches beyond the people that already watch me, try and reach somebody new. So last year I did like a grocery store.
I remember that one.
Making a beer with groceries.
Yeah.
So I want to redo that, and I want to do it at like Dollar Tree or something, like super ridiculous. Like, can you make a beer out of Dollar Tree? Like it may not be good, but maybe somebody will learn something from it or try it themselves. And
I'm no stranger to making bad beer. I can make bad beer with premium ingredients. Thanks to our sponsors at Munton's Malt.
Right.
Their malt has made my beer taste better. I totally at the beginning of the show forgot to do all the small talk stuff. I'll add it at the end of the show. All the alt we're doing the alt call right now. It's the final day when this publishes, and then last call for the Trub Club, but I'll get to that later. So adding on to the last question I did, do you have a staple brew on tap? Well, actually, let's start it this way. How are you drinking your beer? Are you a bottler? Do you have a kegging system? What's the most common way you find yourself consuming all these fermented beverages that you are crafting?
I would say I'm like 95% kegging, maybe 5% bottling. Like occasionally I'll do like a cider or something in a bottle, but for the most part, I'm kegging everything. Just keep it's simple, like one keg versus 30 bottles or whatever, 40 bottles.
Yeah, too many. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So what are you serving at the open fridge door? Do you have a kegerator? Do you have a big Keyser build? Like because you said you're apartment living, so I can't imagine you've got this massive. I mean, maybe your wife is extremely supportive. What does that feel like? But
next to the bed,
right when next to the bed, my man. But what is the draft system looking like for you? And because if you're brewing all the time, are you timing stuff, or do you have to gift stuff, or do you have a lot of stuff conditioning in kegs forever?
So I have a 3-tap kegerator, and it's generally rotating. So I tend to do beers at more of like a 5-gallon mark, and then like cider, anything smaller, cider, other things like a 2.5 gallon. And I have a smaller keg that I'll use that for. But for the most part, I'm giving stuff away if I'm not finishing it myself. Trying to cycle through. Right now, I'm like in a weird period because I brewed a couple things that I'm not super stoked about, and they're just kind of sitting in the keg, and I'm like, I don't want to dump it out, but maybe I can find somebody to give it to.
I was going to say gift it. That's what I think my family's caught on when I'm willing to give beer away. They're like, you don't like it that much, do you? I don't know what you're talking about. No.
Right.
Because normally
it's just not for my taste.
I've snapped at some cousins and my sister-in-law for floating kegs before. And they happen to just be the poor sap who was the last pour. But like my sister-in-law, 2 kegs of Kolsch in a row. She happened to be the last pour. And I'm like, Lori, son of a gun, what are you doing to me? And now my dad, the degenerate gambler, goes to poker nights and takes our Kolsch with him in these half-gallon increments of growlers. Like, Pop, how dare you? Again, digressing my anger. You're not my therapist, Trent. I'm sorry for that.
It's all right.
But I always find, so Todd goes through seasons of brewing a ton, and he's a giver, but he also has 9 taps total at his house. 3 taps at the office. So he always almost has a space for it, right? We're like, him and James sometimes get after me like, dude, it can't be puff, puff, puff. It's got to be puff, puff, give. And I'm like, yeah, because they give me kegs and I brew Kolsch like a 10-gallon batch and sit on it. But I mean, with you, like, I asked that question because I always find myself, unless your wife is also helping you drink it a lot, because what people also don't realize, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Most people I meet in the industry are not sitting around boozing all. Like a 5er can last in my kegerator for a while. It's not like even the Kolsch ones. It's not just going down. I don't want to be plastered. Maybe one night a week, but I don't want to be plastered more than that. And I didn't even want to be plastered. I enjoy it for the taste and the flavor and the social element of drinking and all that. So giving to me makes the most sense. Do you ever bottle from the keg? Like, do you use counter pressure bottle, or when you're gifting, is it kegs?
I have like one of those, not like a beer gun, but it's like a Northern Brewer's got one. I forget what's like the last
the same
straw.
difference.
Yeah.
It is the beer gun, basically. But trademark, it's not the beer gun. Yes.
Yes. Right. So I do that sometimes. But you know what I use a lot is these pressurized growlers. Like, Growlerworks has one. UKeg's got one. So I'll fill up like one of those and bring it to a party.
Nice.
It's good.
Do you take them with the mini CO2, or is it just pressurized enough for that whole night? Or it is actively on a mini CO2?
I usually put a CO2 because they have other lids where you can just they have like keg lids where you can just hook up gas and beverage out. So like right now in my kegerator, I have like a small one of like some leftover beer that I have going, but I can just disconnect it and take it to a party or something like that. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
One topic I like talking with on these homebrewer showcase things is like the dream setup. Like, let's say space wasn't an issue for your home and power source, all that stuff. You had it right. If you had to pick the best way for you to brew, would anything change, or do you have a different setup where you're like, if money and all this wasn't an object, I would do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. That's a good question. So basically everything that I brew sits in this closet that's right here. It's like basically a 3x5 closet. And it's all just like, there's a bunch of junk in there. But if I had the electricity and all that stuff wasn't an issue in space, a glycol system. I don't have a glycol system. So right now what I do is I have a cooler and I just chuck ice into it. and then have a little like submersible pump that I run through a cooling coil. But a glycol would make things a lot easier to keep things cool.
So the brewing, the hot side of stuff, you're content. You're like, I've got it dialed in and I could do that forever. It's the cold side that you would upgrade first.
I think that's the most important for like everyone almost. Like that once you start getting that in check, like you're making good beer. I have so right now I'm basically mainly brewing with the claw hammer system, which is on the 120 volt, which can take a little while. So I guess if I could upgrade to a 240, that would be pretty nice.
That would be the dream. Is the two?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not gonna lie. I have the Grainfather G40 right now. Until I've been bluffing my dad that I'm going to put a brow tag in my garage because I'm trying to get him to make space for one at his house. But it looks like he's calling my bluff. So I'm going to end up at some point putting a Herm system in my garage. But the G40, dude, 240 compared to 120 is heaven and hell. I mean, I'm telling you, it could not be any better. You do if you could. Yeah. But again, it's probably easier.
It makes me miss the days of the propane burner because that thing would rip and you'd be able to boil fast, you know?
Yeah. Especially, I don't know what your burner was, but I've heard that Blickman Hellfire, I've heard is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I heard that was good too.
Yeah, I'm actually going to edit that out. Blickman doesn't sponsor that. No, I'm kidding. We love Blickman. They're great. I always joke like that, and sometimes I'll get people from a company like, "You were kidding?" Yes, I'm kidding. You heard it. I didn't bleep you out. But do you want to sponsor the show? I will add another 10 minutes to the top of this show.
Right? Yeah.
Someone complained about.
Sit through. I'll have to sit through.
Now, you'll never come back on. You'll be like, Josh, listen. Call me when the ads are done, and then I'll come, and then I'll turn on Zoom. Yeah, I always, it's that question that it's funny because a lot of times people sit and go, yeah, I would actually upgrade this. The cold side is objectively the most important because brew day can go super smooth and I, my mash is great. I don't boil over. Sparge was crisp. And I even, got down to temperature for pitching in record time, but my temperatures are all over the place in my fermentation closet. Like that would ruin all the bullseyes you hit on brew day don't matter now. Have you had a beer ruined to fermentation side errors?
Oh, for sure. And I feel like brew day can be so stressful too. Like there's so much going on and you feel like, oh, I made it through and you're done. But it really is just beginning once you get to the fermentation of it. But
it is now. Do you have a go-to style that you've dialed in that you always have on tap or like to have? I know you said you brew seasonally and that, but is there a go-to style Kolsch that you have on tap all the time, or a recipe that is your go-to if you're trying to share with someone your best?
I don't really have like a single beer that I always have on tap. I really truly stick to seasonal brewing.
Dude, awesome.
When it comes around, right now, I always brew like a cider. I'll always have like an apple pie cider. It's like one of my early videos, one of my favorite videos. Or I'll do like a pumpkin pie cider or a pumpkin pie beer. That's what I have usually going right now. But yeah, I'm not like, which I know a lot of people like scoff at. Like I don't have like my single beer that I always brew.
No, good for you. I've been called neurotic for the way that, but you're like Todd. I mean, it's not surprising to me because Todd is very much, there are coincidences where he might have the same style every time I get up there month after month. I'm like, oh wow, you have this. And it's like, oh, because I brewed 17 gallons of it and didn't share it. And so he had kegs and kegs of it, but he's the same way where he is not, like this time of year, my pop and I brew the Imperial Coffee Stout, the breakfast stout clone, and share a keg with Todd. And so he always expects it that time of year. But again, like you, it's just because it's seasonal. It could be March and he's not thinking of, I want to have that breakfast stout on tap. On March, he's probably drinking Maibach and getting ready to brew his Oktoberfest. Or you know what I mean? Or whatever. Yeah. It is.
I think, no, I was just going to say, but I think because of the channel too, like if I brewed the same thing over and over again, it might not be the most interesting.
I'm launching a second channel, dude, called Kolsch Brew. We're going to see how well it takes off. That might be my April Fool's joke. I had 2 ideas for April Fool's joke this year. It's 3 now. My first one was to do an all ASMR episode of Brew Day where first we're going to mash in now. Mash. Get the young crowd in, obviously.
Yeah, right.
And then the second idea was to do a whole episode of just fake ad bumpers, because I get people complaining about. First off, you jerks! I put them at the top of the show. Don't tell our sponsors this, but I know most of y'all skip them. I don't inject in the show an ad for that reason. A ton of YouTubers do, or a ton of shows, not just YouTubers. A lot of shows go, oh, Trent, that reminds me of our sponsors over at, right. And so I thought of doing that, and now maybe I'll launch another channel and just call it Kolsch Brew, and every month it's just live of me brewing a Kolsch. That might do better than our Homebrew Happy Hour YouTube channel, actually. God. No, I admire that, though, because it's not, like I said, seasonal. It also, I don't want to romanticize it, but it makes it it's fall. Now it's time to brew this, right? Where it almost makes you more excited for the upcoming thing that you appreciate it more, right? I do love Kolsch and always have it. I like to try to have it on tap all the time, but I would be lying if I didn't say it would not mean more if it was more seasonal, like the breakfast stout for my pop and I. Oh yeah, it's mid-October. It's time to brew with my dad this style that we like sharing with people. It makes that experience, as opposed to if we were just doing that every month. It's the 4th of the month. Yeah, time to brew the breakfast stout. Okay, where we'd still enjoy it, but yeah, it almost makes it more special, right? When you're brewing seasonally.
Yeah, and I mean, no disrespect to anyone that's trying to hone a certain recipe, that's totally fine. But for me, it's just I'm constantly searching for new styles, new ideas, and trying to keep it fresh.
Are you a competitive brewer? Do you submit to competitions?
No, I'm not.
Then that's easier for you to be a seasonal brewer.
Yeah. I am a competitive person, but for some reason, the competitive brewing has never enticed me.
Yeah, we obviously right now, as I'm publishing this, we're doing the final day of the alt competition. But I told Todd, now that I have access to a Homebrew Happy Hour credit card, I'm gonna start making extra trophies for me of just made up names to put around my office. Because a lot of my friends who come to my home, they don't consume this content. They know I'm into making beer. They don't really know what I do for a living. To be fair, a lot of people don't really know what I do for a living, my boss included. But I would just love to line up my office with fake trophies like Grand Champion of Strudel Fest 2023 or whatever for pastry stout or whatever. Just making stuff up. Because again, I have access to Todd's money in a better way. But no, the
JHA.
Yeah, that's right.
The Josh Homebrewer Association.
Absolutely. We got to come up with a name for the judging thing, because when we did the Kolsch Cup, someone dogged us bad, y'all are not BJCP. I was like, yes, of course we're not. No, this is all just community fun. We don't even try to pretend like we know in regards to, because I troll on a lot of stuff and I like making fun of stuff, but I have legit admiration for the people who take it serious enough to become a judge and who know they can have a beer and tell you exactly the flaw and what part of the brewing process it probably happened. And, it's incredible. Those kinds of people are super impressive. But anyways, I've taken up a ton of your time. I still have some questions if you don't mind hanging out with me for a little bit longer.
Let's hang out. Yeah, for sure.
In California, massive brew scene, arguably a mecca for a long time of craft beer, with some of the bigger breweries now bigger. Rest in peace, Anchor, though, in the Bay Area. But bigger breweries and all that. Are you a member of a homebrew club? Are you active in any homebrew club that's real life, not like a online community? Because I'm active online tons, but I don't have a local homebrew club that I'm a part of. Do you find?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm very active on my Discord and in my YouTube comments and things like that. But I'm not part of a homebrew club. I would love to join it. I've been invited to a couple. I'm intimidated to
Are you really?
Yeah. Because those guys, they know what they're talking about. I feel like I barely know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's the title of my memoir, bro. I barely know what I'm talking about.
But I know that they would be very accepting. It's on me to make the first move. So
when you were in LA, that our buddies over at Brewed Up, Tyler and Lori, SoCal Cerveceros, you should have joined up with them.
Yeah,
you look more Latino than I do. My mom, again, for people who are new to this, my mom's Mexican. I am Latino. Anyways, you could have fit right in. I told Tyler did you meet them, by the way, at HomebrewCon?
I did. Yeah, okay. That was awesome to meet them. Yeah.
I told her, I was like, I'm going to crash your homebrew club. Hey, I was doing
maybe I'll swing by and see what they're up to.
You should, and video that, and then
without telling anybody, I'll just show up with a camera and put in people's faces.
Yeah, people love that, I bet.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, and then kind of the question I always ask the home brewers, and I think I know the answer with you, but any aspirations of taking this to the pro level? And I don't mean like, well, you know what? For you, gosh, this could be too faceted. Where do you have aspirations of being full-time on YouTube and have a pathway for that in your mind? But the real question was, do you want to take brewing to the commercial level? Do you have any aspirations of being a pro brewer? But let's start with the YouTube one first, because it's not many people who are on my show have a YouTube channel, much less a large, successful, growing YouTube channel. Would you like to do YouTube full-time?
I think that would be fun. I don't know that it's ever like possible in the brewing space, but I've thought about like doing other channels or expanding out and trying it. I do love it. I mean, I've had great fun doing it so far. So, you never know. Like maybe we'll have another resurgence of home brewing.
Yeah.
I can take it for real.
Are you wishing another COVID on this country? Is that what?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. No.
That's the clip I'm using for this. I'm gonna use AI to make your smiling face go,
right.
Josh, I wish that we had another instance of. No, the last time I got scathing reviewed was I made in the early days of COVID some offhanded comment that I apologize for. I just mentioned maybe we use promo code COVID-20 for 20%. It was a stupid joke. I apologize for it. I know, but I got a bunch of crap. I know, dude. There's a spectrum that I'm on. I'm not saying which one but I'm just saying my wife has unofficially diagnosed me. But in the commercial side, because it is fascinating to me how many homebrewers get bit by the bug early on. Mm-hmm. They dive in headfirst into the deep end. They read all the books, like you said, especially John Palmer. They deep dive, and then within 5 years they're brewing phenomenal beer, and they are dead set on becoming a pro brewer. Could you ever see yourself being a pro brewer for a living?
I think I've thought about it a lot, and I think that if I were to do it, I would want to keep it relatively small, because I don't want to lose the passion for it. I don't want to lose the love for it and just become like a machine that just turns out, the 4 beer styles that I'm known for or whatever. But I'd love to keep the spirit of the channel, which is like experimentation. So like if I did have a few staple beers, I'd love to have a line of, experiments. Like every time you come in, it'd be something different. I overall would want to keep it relatively small.
Yeah, but you have thought of it. You've thought of the.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Everybody does. Everybody does. My idea gets shot down all the time from my dad and from Todd, where I'm like, I just want a brew pub that is alt and Kolsch, and that's it. And then my mom would make tacos, and it would be right. It would be Mexican, German, everything good about me, or everything I guess not good about me, but everything that I am. And but everyone's like, that's a terrible idea. I'm like, no, Austin's all hipsters who, basically it's all you Californians moving out to here now. They would think it's cool, but no, nobody. I can't get a backer.
What? You have no love for the Mexican lager then?
No, I do. So James and I. Well, James got me on the lager kick, and German lagers is basically German Pilsners, right? Is his go-to, and that made me a believer in regards to like if I have to pick. And there's a brewery. I don't know if in California, Real Ale, do they distribute out there to California?
I haven't heard of them.
I'll get your address after this. I'll ship you a care package. It's the least I can do for taking an hour of your time of gobbledygook and bullcrap that I've done to you today. But
I'm logging off. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah. That was look at the timing of that. That's fantastic. They're Hans Pils. You're here first, folks. The best German Pilsner in the country at a commercial level. Real Ale Hans Pils. I'll fight you if you disagree.
That sounded like an ad read.
I did, right? Today's show is brought to you by Real Ale's Hans Pils. We had their old head brewer Eric Ogershock on the show like in 2016 or 2017, and I think he burned bridges because when I reached out to them in like 2019, hey, we'd love to do a follow-up with Eric, all I got was a reply back, no, he's not here. That was the whole email. I was like, oh, I shouldn't have really buttered him up in that approach. Like, we love Derek so much. I should have replied to their reply like, I didn't even know the guy. He probably sucks. Can we just get someone on the show? No, Eric was actually great. He was an incredible host to us that day. But Hans, Real Ale is the introduction to craft beer for millennials. Like, I'm 37. I'll be 38 here in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. And people my age, it was either Shiner Bock or it was Real Ale, Fireman's 4, which is like a blonde ale. You've been in California your whole adult life, or because you talk about
the last 5 years.
Okay, so what was your introduction to craft beer? Was it a local craft, or was it a more macro craft like a Sierra Nevada or a Yingling?
It was probably Sierra Nevada was like my first like experience with craft beer, and then in Chicago, I'm not too far from like Three Floyds.
Oh yeah.
That was like Zombie Dust.
Yeah. It's not my style, but huge for like people love Zombie Dust.
Right.
Yeah. When we had Homebrew Supply, we sold a crap ton of the clone kit. I know I told you I was about to end it, and now I'm on this whole other tangent. But I will say one thing. I'm relaying it back to your show or your channel and homebrewing in general. When we had clone kits, people just want to replicate what they like, and there's some reward in doing it yourself. And so that, when we were selling recipes, I would see a lot of the clone kits selling better than like in-house originals that either Lorena had made up for Homebrew Supply before Todd had bought them, or like that James was making. Those recipes did well too, but the big sellers were all these clones. And we realized like, yeah, people fall in love with the style, and either they're in an area of the country where they can't get it regularly, or they just go, I'd like to, like, kind of in honor, brew that, but myself. Because it is an achievement. When you brew a good beer or cider or wine or kombucha, whatever, as easy or hard as the brewing style gets to, having it end up how you expected it to end up and be good, that's like, it's like heroin. Well, I've never done heroin. It's like, it's good, man. It's a good feeling, right?
It is. In like a lot of the videos that I've done where it's like, Bud Light clone, or I did a Pliny the Younger clone. Those videos do extremely well because people, if they can't get it or they want to try and replicate it,
it's incredible. It's cool. And so again, people can find out more info about you at youtube.com/The Brew Show, BRUSHO. The links and stuff will be in the channel below. I know I bought one of your really cool new glasses. Is there a easy URL for that, or I'll just put it in the description? It's like Etsy.
Yeah, we can put it in the description. But it's just etsy.com/shop/The Brew Show.
Okay, perfect. And you got cool stuff. You now running a store and all that's all automated, or are you doing all this too? Like you're back there making soccer balls.
It's all print to order.
Okay,
so it's all print to order. So like whenever people order, then I get the in, and then it's automated. So
beautiful. I'll tell you what, dude, the glass, I'm sure you already have one. It is sweet. I love it.
Nice.
It came out real nice.
Thanks for buying one.
Yeah, it was Todd's money. I mean, come on. I mean, no, it was my money. I
should have bought two. Buy two.
You're like not way less impressed now. You're like, so you just bought the one. Okay. Anyways, Trent, my friend, I really do appreciate your time and doing the show. And like I said, I can't recommend your channel enough to people. You've got such high quality. I didn't even get into the stuff I actually wanted to talk about, like your camera gear and all that, because people don't tune in here for that. But you're incredibly accessible, which I appreciate. And I hope, my measly efforts can drive more people who don't know about you your way, because I love the content you're making.
I appreciate it. I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing. So thanks for having me on.
Don't lie to me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time, my friend. And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or, of course, you can call, you can leave a voicemail. You would be Todd's best friend and get a $25 gift card if I use it on a future episode to 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like spruceontap.com. Check them out and use our promo code HHH to save 15% off your order of $25 or more. Also, thank you to Munton's Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Munton's Malt, give them a try by joining our Chub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day, and also get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of the absent Todd Burns, the handsome James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.